Hi everyone. So today we have a really amazing guest with us. So he's an University of Nottingham alumni, the Vice Chancellor's Medal winner, valedictorian, a student council chairperson, a TEDx speaker, really inspirational individual who is playing a key role in one of the leading FMCG companies in the world. So do join me in welcoming Dinesh Jayabalan. How are you doing, Dinesh?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
All good. I mean, it's a crazy time we're living in, and what we know as what is supposed to be the norm, and the status quo is changing in the time we are living in. So I'm really excited to take this off the ground and see where what we could learn from each other, and hopefully what everyone else could learn from this conversation as well. So maybe
Yep,
to
yeah. That,
yeah, I mean, let's go for it. So maybe as a first question, Dinesh, perhaps something that I'm curious as well, is that what would you do different if you were to redo that entire student period of your life?
right. So I think one thing that I would probably do different is to maybe go out of my comfort zone more. I think so. Relatively, I think I did quite a lot of things compared to a lot of students who take university life as a very academic, right? They
Hmm.
feel like university is all about studying. So in that scope, I was a little better. I did a lot of things that was outside the classroom. And I think I learned more outside the classroom compared to what I learned during my academic classes, right? But I think one thing that I did was I always played to my strength. So I did a lot of public speaking, leadership kind of things, which were genuinely things that I enjoyed doing and I know I like doing. And these are things that I was having fun. But if I were to go back to those times, I think I would have downplayed the entire doing what you like and upplay the entire doing what you need to do if you want to get somewhere,
I
right?
think
So I think one of the things that I had was literally running away from anything business related, anything PR or marketing related. In every role I did, I made sure I was not part of those things. But when I started working, I realized, oh my God, if only I did these things back then, I would have had a good kind of exposure that would have helped me where I am today. So I think, yeah, don't run away from things you think you're not good at. That's something that I would do differently.
Yeah, I think that really resonates a lot with me as well, Dinesh, because like especially when the moment we push our comfort zones and expand that comfort zone, and when we transcend and explore that boundary, that uncharted territory, we gradually become new people with these new skills that we put in, build it into our arsenal. So that really resonates with me a lot as well. And certainly, like, even from my perspective, there are along those same lines, I would certainly do things that were perhaps new to me as well. So I think that's you really hammered it there right on the middle there, Dinesh. So great to hear that from you as well. So there are a lot of students out there, who perhaps, like, when they come into year one, year two, they're just thinking, okay, yes, perhaps I could just start thinking about applying for jobs or do my masters or whatever. uh, I should only start thinking about it in my third year, or maybe perhaps towards the end of the second year. Whereas you get also a group of people who are who are very career oriented, and really want to achieve certain goals in life. So a lot of questions that perhaps that I've been asked is, how important are in doing internships? And I would perhaps reflect that same question to you here, Dinesh. How important do you feel these internships, or anything that would help a person develop, that they could engage in during, say, the summer holidays, or what, or anything in period of that sort? And how would you encourage it, and why?
Right. So it's a very prompt question, right? Especially now when I'm in HR, and this is something that obviously I always do. I talk to interns, I recruit interns, and all. So long story short, I think in most of the universities nowadays, internship is not a compulsory thing, right? Like in
Mm,
Nottingham, I think most courses it isn't. So it's entirely up to you if you want to do an internship, and if you want, you're interested, you go ahead and do it. I did an internship when I was in my year one. When I was in my year one, I did it because I wanted to just get some exposure how the working world is and how the industry is all about. But I regretted the fact that I didn't do more than that, because in my year two I did not do. I was like, I'm just gonna laze around and take a break. But I could have done another internship then. But if you ask me, I think internships are very important because you don't need to graduate and get a job in order for you to experience the working world. If you ask me, that's actually kind of too late now already, because in the world where we are, a lot of good opportunities comes to you when you're a student. It comes in the form of business case challenges. It comes in the form of internships and some form of virtual internships and all that. So I think if you really want to keep up to those things, I think doing an internship, you don't lose anything. Actually, you gain. They give you some money as well, right? So you actually gain a lot more than you can ever lose. So I think it is important, and it's also important for you to diversify. So if let's say you're studying, for example, accounting, and you're considering to either take a banking line, or you want to go into the corporate world and explore something else, an internship would be a good place to start. You can then maybe do an internship in a banking world and then try to look at something in a corporate world. And obviously, if you do a good job in your internship, I'm pretty sure there would be chances for you to be employed in the same place, right? I mean, if you're a good talent,
For sure.
there's no reason why a company will not do that. So I think you don't have to. I honestly don't know why people don't do internships. Sometimes you just feel like, oh, I just want to take a break and all. But internships aren't that scary after all. Actually, it really helps you a lot. So if I would recommend everyone, I would strongly recommend them to do internships, and at the same time diversify as much as you can. Don't just stick to one thing, and then maybe then later, by the time you graduate, you try something, then you are like, oh no, this is not what I wanted to do. But you could have gotten the same insight if you were to do an internship, and okay, this industry is not for me. So yeah, I think internship is something that you should definitely do to explore and see where you want to hit to next.
Couldn't agree with you more there, Dinesh. So like I also strongly feel that doing that internship in a way gives you that license to be your best while having a chance to fail, and not having very, like, not have a lot of fingers being pointed at you, because after all, I think recently there was a tweet that was really trending as well. It was the intern. So it you really you really do have that license to fail, but I think it's also an amazing opportunity to really network, get to know a lot of people, and importantly, uh, build those skills that you would perhaps need for that your subsequent roles in time to come. So like, to everyone out there, don't wait for that invitation to go and apply for an internship. Like Dinesh said as well, go for it, because companies are looking for interns, and it's up to you to go and go ahead and take these opportunities at first. So another thing that really popped my mind as well, especially while in universities, is that there are a lot of resources that are available in universities, be it the careers office, be it the alumni offices, so on and so forth. So however, like, at times there may be an inertia where not everyone goes towards these services to really take the maximum benefit out of this. So how would you really recommend, and what recommendations and advice would you give to, say, the first year, second year, third year students, and how perhaps they could engage, say, with the alumni offices, the careers offices, because they in a way are that door that would give you access to, say, a whole plethora of different mentors and even potential employers as well. So what are your thoughts on that, Dinesh?
So I think at the end of the day, it goes back to what I said earlier about your mindset, right? Like some people come into university and they look at it from a complete 100% academic approach. Like, oh, I need to get a degree. I want to get my first class honors, and I want to do this, I want to do that, but it's academic. And if you take that path, unfortunately, I really think you'll miss out a lot, because university life exposes you to a lot of other things that you actually get outside of your of your classroom. So I think this is where careers office, alumni office, and a lot of other offices as well, they play a role where they enable you to do things. For example, careers office, if they do like workshops, or if they do like they avail certain services to you that you can actually make use of if you want to. So I think one thing that students should always be looking forward for is to see what are the opportunities that are being availed at you and take a shot at it. If you know they're organizing a workshop or they're organizing a talk on employability and stuff like that, these are things that you might not get outside of your university or outside of the working world, right? So there's no harm in being exploring. As I was saying, no harm in really making use of all these resources that are already available. Some careers office even offers like resume reviews and all that. So I think it's really important for you to then make use of these resources. You kind in a way you paid for it, right? You paid for your
Yeah.
education, that and all these things come as. So I think do make use of it and then see how it's going to help you. And I think there's no harm in trying that. So just always be open and then see whenever there's like this thing. And there are a lot of clubs and societies, and most often than not, even clubs and societies do a lot of talks. Like, it could be like, business related and all. And these talks are always open to everyone. Most of the times, they're more than enough to like, get people to come because they would like to see a lot of people attending. So these kind of invitational or these kind of events, go for it and see how it's going to help you, because I'm pretty sure it will, and it'll give you good exposure and it'll help you build your competencies and all. So yes, I would definitely recommend people to see what are the opportunities that are available to you and make the most out of it, especially because you paid for it already. Taste free.
I think, yeah, Dinesh, I think especially once people really think about it, okay, we actually paid for that thing. They might as well go ahead and take maximum use of those services as well. So Dinesh, you touch on the entire the mindset factor and how that could really play a really important role in helping, say, especially from a fresh grad to from so rather a fresher to a fresh grad, how that mindset may change with time. So like from my end, I was fortunate to be able to get a mentor right in like year one. So perhaps how would you encourage students, like especially maybe sorry, rather freshers who are just coming into university, perhaps right after high school? How would you encourage them to say, perhaps, find a mentor, and why is finding a mentor and really engaging with the mentor helpful, and how far could that relationship really help the particular individual, a group of individuals, in the longer run?
Right. So that's a very insightful question, right? Talking about mentoring, which is something that I'm really passionate about, and I do a lot of those kind of things outside work. So I think I would strongly, I'd say, year one, I've seen some students who come into year one, and it's as though like they have planned the next 10 years of their life already done, right? Oh, I want to do this, I want to score this. What kind of modules are there in year two, year three? And I'm just like, you know, just calm down. Like there's something that I think I was never been able to do, which is like have chill in life. And that's why, my Instagram name is literally Python needs chill. Because I always say that I gave up needing chill, and then now I just say I have no chill. So I think a lot of people make the mistake where they rush in, or where they, like in the end of the day, as much as you will not be able to accept it, student life means you're a student. Like, you don't have to grow up really quickly. You don't have to, you don't come into university from day zero and be like, okay, I want to get I want to be employed in the top whatever company and all. So I think those are good aspirations to have, but at the same time, take your slow pace and see what you want to do as you go step by step. So I think in that context, finding a mentor would help you, but it will only help you if you have an absolute amount of clarity of what you want to get out of a mentoring process. So I have had students who have reached to me and they said, "Oh, can you mentor me?" And then when I ask, like, "So what aspect of your life, or what are you expecting to, be mentored?" And they can't answer because they just see like, oh, mentor is someone who's like an open resource, right? You just then reach out to them and like they like, yeah, mentors are not like your peers or your classmates or your friends that you can easily just WhatsApp and be like, hey, hi, I'm feeling down today, can you help me, kind of thing, right? Oh, I know that's what I'm looking for. So I think you need a certain amount of clarity before you approach someone to be a mentor. So I've had a few mentors in my life, and to each of the mentors, I was very clear that I had one mentor purely to just help me on my critical thinking element, like my design thinking kind of thing. I want to work on this, so will you be able to help me? So I think depending on what you're looking for, then you are able to get different mentors, and your mentors don't have to be someone you don't need like CEOs or CXOs to be your mentors. Some people have that mindset where they feel like you need to get someone with the industry name to be a mentor. If that's your intention, yeah, then go for it. So I think when it comes to mentoring, you need to have clarity what you want. And then the next thing is, how do you find mentors, right? And right now, there are tons of platforms out there that avails this to you. Some universities run mentorship programs that you can sign up, so that makes your life easy. And there's also this platform called Future Labs, where you get to, just go and sign up and see who are the mentors who are on that platform. So there's that platform that's available to you as well. And the easiest of all is LinkedIn. Really, if you feel like follow a certain person and you want to have a conversation with a certain person, even though you're not sure if this person can mentor you, but maybe schedule a call to just like, bounce certain things. I think those are things that you can try. But before you do anything like that, like I said, you need to be very clear of your intentions. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to get out of that? Because if you're not clear, then nobody will be able to actually help you. So I would say don't rush into it. Don't suddenly like, oh, I want to do it for the sake of doing it and all. Be very clear about what you want to achieve, and from there take it forward.
I think you touch on several good points over there, Dinesh. So perhaps to maybe take a couple of things from that part. So you mentioned a lot of people do have this this thought process. A mentor has to be a CEO of ABC company, so on and so forth. But at times, a mentor could be perhaps even your colleague. A mentor could be your just perhaps even a senior, or even perhaps someone in your family. It just a mentor in a way would give you an opportunity to reflect on and guide you to achieve what you want to achieve based on some of their experiences. So I think you touched on this as well. So like everyone's like person A's mentor may not be the ideal mentor for person B, because what they want to achieve may be different. And you very rightly said, choosing the right mentor based on what you want to achieve is really really of absolute importance there, Dinesh. So really on point there. And to everyone out there, again, don't wait for something to come. Do go and explore your opportunities. Do find that clarity you want in life and what you want to achieve. And then thereafter, the world, where we're in this 21st century, where you can, it's just a message away or DM away, and you can easily get connected with anyone in the world. So do take use of these opportunities that are out there. And wish you all the very best. So this also brings me to a point, an interesting point, Dinesh, that you raised on how it is important to really expand our boundaries while in university. Because if you put it in another way, being in university is like being in an incubation hub where people from all parts of the world, from all parts of different backgrounds, each person has their unique story and also their unique expertise. And being in that so-called bubble, and additionally there's so much other activities that are going on that will enable people to build their soft skills. So especially, say a person is really coming forward and really wants to find out what they want to do in life in terms of coming into university and perhaps spending their 3 to 4 years there. What you touched on this as well, but how would you really perhaps advise that particular person or people, a group of people for that matter, on what sort of approach that they could take in really finding that path that they would like to charter in due course? And perhaps what soft skills would help the, like what soft skills should would that they could pick up in perhaps doing engaging in certain extracurricular activities, engaging with people with from different mindsets, and so on and so forth. So perhaps your thoughts on that, Dinesh.
So I think the type of competencies and skills you need, it changes at different stages of your life, right? So it changes like when you're starting out or when you're starting out into a career and all. But there are some, non-negotiable skills that I think if you don't have it, then you will have a hard time going wherever you want to go. And this includes things like basic communication skills, right? If you can't communicate what you're trying to say in a very articulate or cohesive manner, then you will lose out in any platforms that you're going to get. to a large extent leadership skills as well. How are you able to, be a good team player? How are you able to lead people? How are you able to empower people to do their tasks? And leadership is so complex. There's a lot of things
Hmm.
where it's not about you doing things, it's also about how you motivate a team, how do you empower your team, how do you put together the team, right? So there's that aspect. And also I think these two are the strong aspects that I think as a student you have a lot of chance to develop and improve on. So the third thing that I think it's a little bit more towards, if you have to cater it to what you want, but a skill that will never drop or never let you down is obviously business acumen. Like knowledge
Hmm.
is one, like academic knowledge is one, but are you capable enough to know what's actually happening in the world out there? Like, what's the real business world out there? And most of the times in academics, they'll probably be using examples from, like, I don't know, 19th century or like a long, long time ago, right? You also need to make sure that you're being relevant to what's happening outside. And you need to be able to then take what you're learning, the theoretical part, and then apply it in real life. So this is where I think when you do leadership roles, it comes very handy. If you take
Hmm.
part in, like, competitions, it comes really handy because you get to see how you can solve actual problems. And there are tons of, opportunities available for students out there that most of the time students they'll either not know of it, or they'll just not be interested because they are very much focused on the academics. And don't get me wrong, I think academics is super crucial. You cannot jeopardize your academics in the pursuit of something else. So I think you need to find the right way to balance these two to be able to apply skills that is industry. Now there are a lot of skills that are coming up to the market. A lot of people are talking about agility and all. I think those are important. See how you can pick up these skills from your place or from the opportunities you have. So I think that's what is important.
Hmm. I think, really on point there, the initial like when people really want to find out what they want to do, and engaging with different types of people would really perhaps like trigger different parts of the brain to find out that they have different capabilities as well. So again touching on along the same lines of what we just discussed, being in that environment allows us to engage with different types of people, and especially when we're in these diverse teams, there's a lot of opportunities for individuals to find out that they have skills that they never knew they had perhaps. So on the same note, like just as sometimes certain teams they may be full of star players as individuals, but they may not really click as a team. But on the flip side of it, there may be, say, average or perhaps maybe a few star players who comprise who are part and make one team, but that team may outperform that A team, so to speak, like by miles and miles. And I think this is something we may see perhaps in universities as well, but on the same note, sometimes even in corporate, where after all teamwork really does make the dream work. So in terms of really finding that real that frequency at which the different types of people you could resonate with, and finding that sweet spot on how you can manage people with different mindsets, different objectives, and what they want to achieve as well in a team. What are your thoughts on that? How could we make the best out of a team, and how could sometimes working in teams perhaps help people achieve things that they would not usually achieve working alone perhaps?
Right. So I think something that I've told a lot of people and something that I truly also believe in is that if you are the smartest and strongest person in a team, you need to find a new team. Because some people, we could be like, in that group of people, we are one of the better ones. And if we don't upskill ourselves and if we just choose to stay within that and, be the best one all the time, then you're not going to improve because you just
Hmm.
feel like you'll always emerge as the best person, right? So I think the first thing to know is that if you are in a situation or in a group where you know for a fact that you are one of the better ones or you're performing really well, also then look at opportunities where you get to be exposed to different kind of groups, different kind of tasks and activities where you will then get a chance to work with people who are more superior than you or people who you can then learn things from. So I think first thing to do is be able to always look at yourself and see what is next. What do you want to do next? What do you want to achieve next? And where do you want to go next, right? So that's the first thing. And second thing, no man is an island is something that we always hear, but you probably will not really understand what it means until you go to probably a corporate world where
Mm,
you really you are a very tiny fraction of an entire organization.
mm,
So whatever impact you want to cause, it's not just that you alone can do it. Then you come, that comes like a few people form a group, a few group, then form a division, a few division, then forms a company, right? So these kind of organizational structure is there for the reason. So I think more often than not, when you work in a group, you learn a lot about yourself, and you also learn about really managing people, managing emotions, stakeholder management, and also how do you then work with different kind of people, because not everyone will be in the same pace as you. You
mm,
might have people who are left out far behind. Then if you're leading a group, is it not your responsibility to then empower that person to also do their best, or are you just going to be focused on yourself and make sure that only your tasks are deliverable? Then as a group you're going to most probably fail, right? So the more chances you get to be part of different groups to do different things, then go for it. This is where clubs and societies help. This is where any form of like, even like your normal coursework class, groups, right? And I know some people are like, okay, you find one good person, you're like, okay, we're going to be classmates, we're going to be groupmates until we. So these are a lot of missed opportunity for
mm,
yourself. Actually, you miss the opportunity to learn about yourself or to really see how you can do a lot of different things. So I would say always, if you have a chance to be exposed to different kind of groups, then go for it. Don't be afraid to, sometimes when we attend, let's say a competition or like a boot camp and all, you'll go with a friend and then you'll be like, okay, let's just stick to each other.
mm,
What's the harm in really then going there and just finding other people, or exposing yourself to different kind of things? So I think that's what a lot of people don't think of. We are very comfortable, we are very just that. So I think teamwork, the adaptability plays a big role, especially if you want to go for a job interview in a very competitive market. I'm pretty sure one of the strongest thing they look for is how are you going to work in a team, how are you going to manage stakeholders, because they don't need individual superstars, right? We need
mm,
more people able to bring things together and move. And that's where now I think in the 21st century, and looking at how organizations are moving, we want to empower more people to have that one growth, one family kind of
mm.
culture. I think these are things that helps you. So I think always find different groups, experiment, explore. And if you're gonna fail, it's fine. You learn a lot. And you rather fail in university and fail like a 1,000 ringgit project than to go to your corporate world and fail
Mm.
and cost the business.
True, true.
So
I think we're circling back on some of the key points that you raised at the very beginning as well, Dinesh. Like, about how really expanding that comfort zone of each individual, and especially like when we do work in teams, sometimes we find that other team members may be more skilled or competent in other areas that you may be able to learn from your teammates, and vice versa. So like, uh, it's a really open message to everyone out there as well. Do explore your opportunities and really try to learn from other people, as well as teach other people who are within your team as well, and really try to find those different people within your ecosystem and perhaps across other ecosystems as well. And by really expanding your skill set and the skill set of people around you, we could really achieve much more. And to the point, Dinesh, you made about how having that common goal and how organizations could really drive towards that common goal, especially while working as a team. It's something that just struck me when you mentioned that, was that, like, back in the day when they were trying to put a rocket and a man in the moon, I think JFK had asked the janitor, "So what are you doing?" And the janitor said, I'm helping put a man on the moon. So that really epitomizes the fact that how, when everyone is really aligned and congruent to achieving a common goal, almost the impossible could be done. And I don't want to say the impossible could be done, because that's not a real world. It just impossible is just that we don't know how to achieve it yet. So I think that's like a whole, so many minutes of wisdom there for all the viewers and listeners over there. So I don't know how much to stress on, really take advantage of this amazing opportunity while it lasts. Because afterwards, like Dinesh said as well, it's a thousand ringgit project, or it could be a $2 billion project. So fail cheap, fail fast. Go for it, guys. So, so Dinesh, I know I'm also conscious of time as well, but something that really struck me, and I'm sure many others as well, when it comes to the point where they need to choose like what they want to do, one question is, some people do have that sense that, okay, perhaps I should do a master's or PhD before entering the job market. I understand that, yes, this is like sometimes it's solely individual choices, but on the same note, there are people who are very clear about that they want to enter industry. Perhaps focusing on the second category, Dinesh, a lot of people think about, okay, should I join a startup or should I join a bigger organization? So each has their pros and cons. And perhaps it'll be great if you could shed some light over there, because working in a startup at the beginning and working in a bigger organization in the beginning would give the relevant person a different range of skill sets. So your thoughts on that, Dinesh?
Right. So I think this is a very tough question because I think in the end of the day, really, it's as easy as is it to sound. I would always tell people, what do you want to do? What are you looking for, right? Like, are you planning to start up your own company? Are you planning to work in a big company and grow? Or are you planning to just have a very comfortable life with, like, a lot of people emphasize on, oh, I just want to have a life with like good work-life balance, and some people are like, oh, I just want to marry someone and settle down. I don't want to
Mm,
work so hard. Some people are like, oh, I just want to retire early. So I think the first step to really going about something like this is to then understand what you want. And this is like you have to go in depth reflection, right? Like, what do you think your purpose is in life, or what gives you happiness, or what kind of thing you want. Like for me, I was very clear that I wanted to start a job in an MNC. I've always been someone who loved, working with multicultural people, and I've always considered myself to be a global citizen. And I think that's what I really enjoyed working, and being in a university where you have people from a diverse background. So I was very clear that I want to go into MNC, and that's where my goal is. So I think not and sadly not everyone will have that form of clarity as well. Some people would be like, still experimenting, still exploring. So I think it's never too late to play that kind of experiments or exploration, right? But I think this is where you need to do a lot of, I wouldn't say research alone, but read up, talk to people, and also
mm,
understand yourself as best as you can. And this is where any leadership opportunities you get, you will learn about yourself. Are you interested to go into a startup culture where everything is a little fast, agile, and probably you're thinking of like it's a smaller impact kind of thing, but things are really fast. And sometimes it could not be so structured like an MNC. Right? MNC, you have like processes that you need to follow and all, but in a startup, you'll be like very fast and you wanna, go and get this out and stuff like that. So I think in each of these industries, there's an abundant things to learn. So it's
mm,
really about what you want to get. Like I know friends who are like, oh, I want to go into consulting, and then like, oh, why do you want to go into consulting? Oh, it pays well. That
mm,
and these are people that most of the times do not get into these kind of things because if let's say your entire goal is like, oh, it's just money, but then you're not really sure about what you can do to really contribute in the field. And this is where passion comes as a big thing, right? Like being passionate, and then luck also plays a role, being the right place at the right time and all that. So I think don't be very superficial in what you're looking for, right? I think financial stability is something that everybody wants, but if your main goal is like, oh, I just want to get money, then probably you'll take a very different path. You can also think about starting up your own company, go into an entrepreneurial side because that's what will suit you. So I think to answer this, what I would say is to understand each industry, then talk to people, read up and all that. So understand what are the industry practices, and this also comes within function, right? Like once you feel like, okay, I think I want to go into the corporate world, some people call it the corporate rat race, right? And then they go into that, and then they're like, okay, so which function am I supposed to be? Is
mm,
it like HR, marketing, sales, supply chain, finance? So what kind of thing I want to do and all that. And for some people, corporate is a no. They're like, there is no way I want to go into corporate. Like, I don't like that lifestyle and all. So then, okay, what do you want to do? Like, so I think this is where understanding yourself helps a lot. And at the same time, be practical and realistic. If you wanna, you can't be an intern for like forever. intern has a very good thing, like internship is a good thing, but yeah, you can't do that forever. So I think this is where sometimes mentor helps. Like sometimes some people get a mentor to have clearer career aspiration because they're not so sure. Okay, should I aim to be a senior manager in the next 10 years, or can it actually be done in 7 years? And sometimes you don't know. So this is where you reach out to people from maybe like who have this kind of experiences to tell you and to stretch you. So I think in these kind of situations, it's extremely important for you to know yourself, what you want, where do you want to go, and then from there backtrack a bit. So I do a lot of reflection. So every year I always ask myself, right, like what do I want to achieve in the next 3 years, 5 years? What are the skill sets that I'm learning? What am I comfortable with? And I want to downplay on that. So never take reflection lightly. I'm a big believer in reflecting and coming up with action plans from there. So understand yourself, do those personality tests. They actually help you a lot and really get to understand yourself, your working style, your personality, and see how you get to improve yourself and go from there.
I think amazing stuff there, Dinesh, and you touch on several key points there. And perhaps one thing that I caught was, how important reflecting is, and reflecting on one, your current status, and two, where you want to achieve in terms of, going towards your goals. So, what advice would you give on those? If you had to double click on those two, how would you perhaps like really emphasize on why reflecting on oneself, really looking at the mirror and really being able to criticize and say these are the places I could improve, so on and so forth, why that is important, and why should people really engage in it, and what benefits could they see, especially like in themselves, especially if they really continue this as, say, a lifelong habit. And of course, while bearing in mind that there's this common this objective of achieving that goal, and perhaps like how that entire goal setting process could be tied to that reflection process as well.
Right. So I think reflection it's super important because the way how other people see you, it's probably very different from how you see yourself.
Mm.
Because you show the sides of you that you want to show people. For example, I am not a good person when it comes to designing, let's say posters, right? Like I have terrible sense of designing. That obviously I will not show that side to anyone because why would I want to scream my weakness to people, right? Like I will not take that. So every time I see a designing role, I will stay away from it because I don't want to expose my weakness, right? Or sometimes you can be very much focused in all the strengths of yours, but not so much of like what are things that you're weak on. So this is where reflection helps because in the end of the day, reflection is only within yourself. You're
Mm.
not, committing to people. You don't have to, put it on a paper and get someone to sign off, right? So I think when
Mm.
you're doing that kind of reflection, it's really for you to understand that you're doing this for yourself
Mm.
and you want to grow. So I think that's the first thing to understand, right? How reflection helps. Now there are a lot of people who pick up reflection and they're so gung ho, they do everything, and then after 1 month, nothing happens. Like some people, if you read the 5 a.m. Club, right? I think it was by
Mm.
Robin
Robin
Sharma,
Sharma.
but so it will not work on everyone, and even it's like it's something that I read a lot of self-help books, and every book has its own recipe to tell you. Every book has its own methods, but you only live once and you cannot take all these things and practice it, right? You cannot like, okay, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and then there's the whole atomic habits, right? Then I want to practice that, and then there's
Yeah.
also like highly effective people. I want to have all seven. Then you're probably not going to have any time to do anything else, right? So I think this kind of knowledge helps you. It kind of builds that arsenal for you. Then it's really about how you want to use it
Mm.
in your own personal life. So I think reflection is very important. So I used to do almost every day kind of reflection, and then I kind of let that go because I was already in a place where I think I was quite already doing well, and I know what I want to do next. So I think in those kind of situations, being reflecting is helpful. Being grateful is helpful. Some people have
Mm.
everyday gratitude, and I find that to be also good. So really understand what you want to do and where you want to go. You don't need to wait for the year-end review to reflect about, oh, what do I want to do in the next year?
Mm.
What do I want to do in the next 3 years? So yeah, but at the same time, also I always tell people, right, don't live life in a very structured manner. That's what I used to do. some people, like I told you, right? You ask them, so what do you want to do in the next 3 years? They can give you a summary of like what they want to achieve. Like, okay, by this age, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get married, and blah blah blah. And by this age, I'll probably be dead. I have met people like that who have planned the entire thing so well. And then, yeah, things don't go your way. That's why, pivoting is really important. So I think at these kind of situations, reflections help you, but at the same time, be adaptable. Pivot.
Mm.
3 years ago or 2 years ago, nobody predicted this corona thing to happen. So if your
Mm.
life goes like, oh, I want to travel the 10 countries the next 2 years, then what are you going to do about it now, right? You can't sit and be sad and be like, oh, what happened? So pivot. And I have I have done like some small group classes for my group of friends where I tell them about goal setting and how do you set your goals and all that. So we always do this, right? And then I always end by saying, don't beat yourself up for it if you don't achieve. Who is going to judge you? And this is not your KPI. This is not your, you're not going to lose money. So, always pivot, but have it at the back of your mind that these are things that you want to achieve. So at the end of the day, at the end of the year, you don't sit there and be like, so what did I do this entire year? When every day you had a new chance to do something, every week you had a new chance to learn something. So these are simple things that a lot of people miss out. And then by the time you realize it, it's probably too late.
I think like on point there, Dinesh, because it's basically that improving day by day, hour by hour, so on and so forth, and just that daily improvement, monthly improvement, quarterly improvement really does like accrue to create a significant difference over time. So I'm speechless there, Dinesh. So you really you check all those boxes there. So perhaps so like another point that you touched on was how being grateful can make a massive difference, and personally for me as well, really cultivating an attitude for gratitude perhaps helps you see the better things in life, and you kind of helps you also realize, like once you reflect that okay, there are people who are in much worse circumstances, and it really helps you be grateful for what you have, while also you know reminding you that okay, there are certain goals that you want to achieve. So that, like that really does make a big difference. So uh I have two more questions for you, Dinesh. So one is, maybe before the last question, just want to touch on networking and how networking can be done effectively and what difference can it make. Because there, like I'm sure there are so many students out there, they have heard about, yeah, networking perhaps as a buzzword, someone else told them about it, the careers office told them about it, but perhaps they don't know what to do. How can they take that first step, and afterwards, how can that really make a difference?
So I forgot who said this, but your network is said to be your net worth,
Net
right?
worth, yeah, there you go.
I forgot who said that, but I think, and there's a lot of other things also, right? I can't, I'm not someone who's very good with quotes, but there's also like, um, how you are is, I think, 80% of the amount of time you spend with the people around you, or something like that. I could be getting it wrong, but the essence of it is like, the people you hang out with or the people that you spend your time with says a lot about yourself, and that
Mm,
is entirely true. So that's why you have a support system, you have like everything, right? And I have tons of friends, and I have friends for like different reasons, right? So I know who to go for what I want to get. If I'm looking for something more on a personal kind of advice, I know who to go for. If I'm looking for something more career oriented, who do I reach out to? So I think networking is definitely important, and it is something that you would need and you would want to have at the back of your mind. And this is why I also started to say earlier, right? LinkedIn helps a lot because
mm,
opens up an entire new world, and you get to connect with people, and you will be able to share, or you'll be able to learn things. And then now with the entire MCU happening, a lot of online resources are made available to you. There's also like Clubhouse, where people
mm,
come and talk about things and all that. So these are things that you can really pick up. And you don't need, like I said, right, you don't need to start working to experience what corporate culture is all about. You can
mm.
do enough research, you can talk to people, you can read about these things and know those kind of situations and know those kind of knowledge. So I think networking is very important. But at the same time, also, be very aware of how are you spending your energy? Like, how are you spending your time with people? And how, and are they bringing any value to you? And, prioritize a lot. I think a lot of people get burnt out because, keeping up with everyone is not easy. always, have that at the back of your head. Like, okay, these are the amount of people I'm talking to, these are the people and all, but make sure that you don't go on a fatigue of, people. Or, it also depends on who you are. Right? Some people are introverts, some people gain energy from doing things within themselves. So if that's the way how you want to go, then go for that.
Mm. I
But
think
when there are opportunities for you to network,
it
yeah,
also you
networks.
also like touch on the point, doing those personality tests and understanding who you are and reflecting on that can really help you understand what those next steps are as well. So again, we're circling back on the point, and at the end of the day, it's also important to realize these these are all different things that are not isolated, but they are all part of this bigger picture, and it really does help in creating a better version of yourself. So
Agreed.
so I think we discussed so many points in this. I think it was really insightful going through this. So Dinesh, one last question here. So three people come and knock on your door. One is a fresher, one is a second year student, one is a final year student, like looking to graduate soon. What would be that one advice you would give each of them? Over to you, Dinesh. I'm really curious here.
Right. So this brings me back to my days, right? So I think to the year one student, I'll say chill. I know possibilities are endless. I know you came into university, you want to make your parents, grandparents, auntie, uncle, pets, and everybody proud, and you want to, be the next, I don't know, CEO or whatever. But really chill. Growing up is a very fun process. Don't do it too fast and regret it later. So I would say chill, experiment, explore. So that's the first. That's the advice I'll give the first year, right? To a second year student, I'll always say, start realizing that you don't have that much time left with your friends, because you don't want to go into year three and then you're like, oh my God, we only have like 1 year left. What have we done all the time? So to a year two student, as much as you want to do whatever you want to do, in the end of the day, you want to graduate with memories. You want to
Mm,
graduate with good stories to say.
mm,
So always have that at the back of your mind. At the same time, you're doing your whatever. At the same time, also spend time with your friends and build memories. To a year three student, graduate well. Academic is everything at that point. So never ever deprioritize your final scores, right? And I know some people say, oh, your degree is just a piece of paper, but that piece of paper is what you're going to carry for the rest of your life, unless you plan to do another degree. So really, I think when you're in year three, don't forget that. Don't get influenced by like, oh, Mark Zuckerberg dropped out from some university and he is successful. And yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, in that case, a lot of people are dropping out from university. Do you want to be part of that statistics? I don't think so, right? So I think at year three, no matter what you want to do, also emphasize that your qualification helps and it's something you're going to carry for the rest of your life. So be very clear about that. So yes,
mm.
in your year one, chill, experiment, explore. Year two, spend time with your friends and make sure you're building enough memories. And year three, graduate the manner how you want to graduate and you want to hit your next chapters in life.
Well said there,
And I
Dinesh.
think, yes,
Go
and
ahead.
one thing among all, something that I think I've also been telling to myself is really never disregard physical fitness. As much
Mm,
as you are smart, as much as you are one of the brightest students, I think physical fitness plays an equal amount of role. And I'm a culprit myself. I've been trying to get into this fitness thing forever, and I've been like, procrastinating and all. But you really realize when you see the corporate world, you get to see the people who are fit, the kind of energy they have is amazing. The kind of and these are people who are disciplined. I know people who wake up every day and they go for a run for 30 minutes and then they do all these things. I'm like, it's super good. So if your career aspiration is to go far in life and you want to be a good role model, then you also need to make sure that you don't disregard physical fitness. It's like a note to myself that I say every time and really hope to change it someday.
I think you touched on several key points, and I think to all the first year, second year, and third year students out there, and any other students, aspiring students as well, do take note of that. Just do write that right now and say it's Dinesh Jayabalan told me this, and and perhaps someday soon, Dinesh, someone will quote you. So thanks a lot, Dinesh. I think we covered so much ground, and I think there's a lot to learn for everyone who's listening or watching to this. So thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for your time, and I wish you all the very best in your fitness endeavors as well, because like I do
I wish
personally.
myself I wish myself too.
So I wish you all the very best. Both, I'm sure that you'll do quite well in your personal and as well as your professional life, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Yes, you too. You too. Take care.
See you,
Take care,
Dinesh.
man.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for your attention today. So I hope you found today's episode quite useful and insightful. So if you all have not done so already, do smash that subscribe button or like button below. Also, let me know if there are things that you would like to see, perhaps areas that even I could improve, and importantly, other areas and topics that we could discuss in the podcast. So until next time, see you guys.